everybody. Happy Sunday morning, and welcome back to another episode, another message here at the Blerd Church of Anime. I'm your preacher, your teacher, your pastor, your cult leader, whatever you want to call me, the cat lady, maybe even a witch. I am Black Star, here to lead you through another ritual this Sunday. And when I say ritual, I just really mean just kind of talk to you a little bit more about some of my favorite stuff, anime and the like. I hope you had a fantastic week. Friday was Halloween, which is so fun. I love it when Halloween is on a Friday because it means you get like 2 weekends, like the weekend before Halloween, like that Saturday and Sunday to do Halloween stuff and have parties. And then you have Friday, that's actual Halloween, and then probably partying into the rest of the week if you are a partier. I've just been out and about seeing people in costumes for the past 2 weeks, the whole week from last Saturday till like Saturday last night, all around. So I just think it's so much fun that people can like pick and choose when they want, or have so many options of when they want to do the whole Halloween thing and Halloween parties or just costume stuff in general. So that's always fun. I hope you had a fantastic week. And if you didn't, if for some reason, the spirits didn't align, your dead ancestors didn't help and protect you, I hope that we can say F last week. We're looking forward to this week and how much better it's going to be for you, because there's always a chance for things to get better. I do want to say, starting off, that y'all got to kind of like work with me on this message today. I'm going to talk about one particular thing and I'm going to bring anime into it. So just kind of like roll with me on this. And it is still a little Halloween themed because, of course, I've been watching um, a lot of Halloween themed shows and movies and media because it's one of my favorite things to do for the holidays. I always have set lists of things that I love to watch every year. This year I was able to add to it Agatha All Along, because who doesn't love a good witch story? Like Hocus Pocus is my jam, but after seeing Agatha All Along last year, I knew I wanted to rewatch it and put it in my rotation for every Halloween, it being a show that I watch. And watching Agatha All Along brought up some thoughts that I want to share with you today. And again, I will tie this into anime, so that I promise you this won't be an anime-free message. But I'm going to try to keep it at 30 minutes or under if I can, but I have some thoughts. So first off, I got to start off by saying that as a comic book fan, I have to say that I am not the biggest fan of the Marvel Witches. So I didn't like follow many of the Marvel Witches series. I think the only witch I really, as a character that I actually really liked, was Nico from The Runaways, because I was kind of obsessed with that series. I've never been a Wanda Scarlet Witch fan in the comics. Like after House of M, I was like, if she never shows up ever again, like why can't you make yourself go away from existence? So I am not doing comic book accuracy here. That is not the thing that I do my biggest deep dives into, although I know Agatha All Along gave us some great Easter egg, and people who were really into the comics, into like the witches, the mysterious pieces of Marvel, probably can like tell me the well actuallys and like pull out all the Easter eggs they put in that show for you. I'm not doing that. So just put in the comments, because I ain't got that knowledge, but I always love to learn, even in things are parts of franchises that I may not be deeply into. I will also say that because of that, I am really going off of MCU. I loved WandaVision as my favorite MCU show, which is funny because I was not a fan of Wanda or Vision, even their MCU versions. Like I was pretty apathetic towards both of them and didn't really care about the show coming out. And just lo and behold, WandaVision ended up being like an amazing show. So I was really gassed up about Agatha All Along. Yes, there'll be heavy spoilers. Like the show's been out for over a year. I don't know what to tell you. But maybe not the biggest of all the spoilers, but there will be some. So I am rewatching Agatha All Along. I love a good witch story of things, and as I'm doing this rewatch, probably like my no more than my third, I think it's more than my second rewatch. I get to episode 2, and Agatha and her mateship coven are on the road with Teen, the witch's road, and Agatha doesn't know what's going on, not completely. An inkling of things going on when they make it to the road. And the way they do this pan of her face, where she looks up And then everyone was like, okay, Agatha, what do we do next? Because like the whole gist is that Agatha's been on the road before. That's why, she helps guide people there. And Agatha doesn't know what's going on, but she comes so fast with the "we're on the road, take off your shoes." So, like she pivots so fast, and I was watching. I was like, I forget what a bad bee Agatha is. Like this woman is. She puts the confidence in con women. Like I realized I had so much respect for Agatha and then like the skills she brings to it. But I gotta back up a little bit. Let's not pretend that Agatha is a good person because she's not. Agatha is not a good person. She is known as a coven killer. She has killed countless witches. And no, not all out of self defense or people coming at her, although technically like you have to attack Agatha in order for her to like steal your magic, but she does it as a means of survival, as a means to like gain power. Agatha has caused countless of tragedies. I think one thing we get in Agatha all along is a little bit more of her backstory. And, she's a little bit more of a conflicted character. You get some of her traumas, but that doesn't make her a better person. She is not a good person. She doesn't try to be a good person. And in fact, she actually really leans into the bad reputation that she has, that fearful, like people know Agatha is not to be played with. So I say that to say I am not hyping her up. I am not giving you this message like go be Agatha. Go be a morally bankrupt person who kills people for their own powers and pleasure and whatever. I am not. This is not the point of it. I mean, Agatha is a villain, a villainess. And I think that's really the topic about how to be a villainess and when is it worth it. Because yes, villains do bad things. They could be amoral or morally bankrupt or whatnot. But I would look at a certain class of villains, definitely the villainesses of things. And I'm going to start off with Agatha because there's so much I could say about the show and also her as a character. And as I said before, when you know the twist and you're rewatching the series, you can see throughout most of the episodes how much Agatha has this skill to one, observe, take in information, process it, and then react super fast. Because again, on episode 2, when they hit the road and everyone's looking at her like, what is this? Agatha don't know what this is. Not really. She has some like maybe inklings of what this could be, but she has nothing definite. And she pivots so fast. Like that is such a skill to be able to be like, oh, we're here and now we're going to do this thing. And like speaking with such confidence that, she ends up leading this group in a way that is like not her doing. And I admit I do this sometimes. I have friends who call me out where they'll ask a question and me with full confidence, not even knowing the answer, make up an answer, and people believe that stuff for months, even years. And then like years later, they call me out like, remember when you told me that so and so was called a blank blank because of XYZ? I found out that wasn't true. I was like, oh, I didn't know. I just made up something. And they're like, you sounded so confident. You say things with confidence, people believe you're a leader. And Agatha, with this ragtag coven she's put together, leads them through the witch's road. And as quiet as it kept, not real quiet, except for Sharon, justice for Sharon, they all come through with something that they were trying to do. They got something from the road despite it being like not what they thought it was. And I think about what a bad bee, how bad a that Agatha is and has to be. Of course, to be a woman surviving in like the early pilgrim days of Salem as a witch, her mother tries to kill her, going through her own heartbreak. She's somebody where people have left her, where people have betrayed her, which, gives her that, like, I don't care about anybody except myself. I'm going to do what I need to do to survive, which, again, hurt people. So we give this to Agatha. Like, this is part of that character arc to who she is. And while you don't have to like the things she does, you can respect the hustle. Like, I, I don't know how else to put it. Like, you gotta respect the hustle that Agatha has and the skills, not just in her witchcraft, but in her ability to conform and survive and look at the changing situation and change along with it. Um, Throughout the things on the road, like, again, she doesn't know all that's going on. She doesn't know what's coming up, but she's supposed to be the expert here, and she's keeping people calm by pretending to be the expert. But because she is saying things with such confidence, because she is BSing her way through this, she actually helps co-create the road along the way. And when you know what the road is at the end of the day, I want you to really see it, like, because she says these things, like, they get embedded in the minds of the other people on the road with her, of her like makeshift coven, and that kind of changes what the road is. Um, I don't think if Agatha would have said at the beginning when they first started on the road, like, there'll be different trials for each witch, I would there have been trials on the road? Because I think she said that, and that wormed its way into the brains of the group, and then that is what happens. I think you can be, when you're somebody who is able to really react and be confident. Like, she puts the confidence in Khan that our Khan in chief right now wish she has. Like, she's top level of being able to do things. Like, it's inspiring in a way. Again, don't be morally bankrupt like Agatha, but I think it's very inspiring to see this woman, even when she doesn't have the power that she typically has, because she like loses her powers in WandaVision, and part of her doing this whole road is to gain them back. I think it's very interesting to see how Agatha really takes her hits and like uses her reputation as a way to keep people from actively trying to come at her when she is powerless. But also, despite her reputation, when people know she's a coven killer, people know she cannot be trusted, still able to schmooze and mystify and talk people into doing this witch's road journey with her, even though they know better. They know better than to trust Agatha. And I think this is such like a good case study of what it means to be a strong villainess. Um, to be somebody who is competent and able to do the work. And I think if you're going to be the villain in somebody's story, especially the villainess in somebody's stories, you need to be a competent villainess. Like, you need to be someone who makes the stuff happen. Um, and that leads me into my anime pulls, because there is a genre of anime that I absolutely love. I love, as I already said about this, isekai, but I love the isekai or the villainess is the main character, especially when it's like Otome Game villainess is the main character type of animes. And there's been a lot that have been coming up the past couple of years. So I've been just drowning in really gay content. If you don't know what an otome game is, otome games are kind of like love games where you play a main character and you have these capture targets, love interests, and you play the game. You go through the storyline, and the storyline changes based on like how you raise the affection level for your character, the main character, and the capture targets. They're very popular with women and girls. I in college was really into a couple like very naughty ultimate games, but they're a staple in Japan. And so in an ultimate game, like, you don't just like go around like finding the love capture, the targets, the princes, the men, the whatever, the coworkers, and like falling in love with them. There's a story behind it, and in the story, there's oftentimes like someone who's trying to get in the way of your love. And a very classic trope in a lot of the ultimate anime villainous genre is that like there's typically a prince, the main character or the main protagonist of the game has like all these royals that they can like capture their heart and eventually become queen and save the kingdom or whatever. But they tend to have like fiancés because, in the royal European esque settings, you get engaged when you're like 5. And those women tend to be the villainesses. They're the ones that are actively trying to stop the main character, the protagonist, from stealing their love and then taking the spot that they've been training for since they were like 5 or 6. Very fair stuff. Villainesses can come in a wide range, but there's a couple of things I think when you are a villainess, you need to be. So I'm gonna start with my favorite. My favorite of this genre, and just one of my top animes in general, is My Life as a Villainess. all routes lead to doom. And so like most of these have like really freaking long names. I forget about that. But My Life Reincarnated as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom is an exceptional, hilarious comedy. My Next Life as a Villainess, Routes Lead to Doom introduces to this villainess of this ultimate game named Katarina, affectionately known as Bakarina by most fans of the series. It is such a great horror anime. And Katarina is the example of what villainous to not be. Like in the actual gameplay of the show, Katarina, she's a noble woman. She's engaged to like the third prince of the nation after some stuff that happened. And she's not super smart. She's not like super powerful. She doesn't have a lot going for her outside. Like she's not like this otherworldly beauty. And the only thing that's really going for her is her noble, like her money, her status. And so in the actual anime game, Fortune Lover, I think is the name of the game of the series, Katarina as a villainess is constantly bullying at their magical academy the main character and doing all types of petty stuff because all she really has is like her status as possibly being a future queen, her current status as being like a dude's daughter, and like little cronies and all this stuff. She is a very dumb, shallow villain. Which is why it's great when Katarina like isekais and she's like, oh, I'm in the world of this game. Oh my gosh, my routes lead to doom. If I do something, change. And because she is dumb, she becomes this really super nice, sweet person. Like, again, if you're going to be a bully, like, be a competent one, is what I think I'm trying to say about Katarina in this particular anime. Like, if you're going to be a villainess, you need to be competent. And Katarina, as a villainess, is not competent. She doesn't have anything going for her besides her status. That is not the way you should be a villainess. There's a couple other animes I'm going to put out here for that I think they're really fun that you should watch and see and like talk through. So I am going to throw out three shows. Another one of my top three favorite of the villainous tropes. I'm the villainess, so I'm taming the final boss. This is really cool, with the main character Eileen as the villainess. I'm also gonna shout out Villainous Level 99. I may be the hidden boss, but I'm not the Demon King or Demon Lord. I think it's Demon Lord. It was just really, really cool. We'll talk a little bit more about how Yumela is as a villainess at level 99. And then there's one that doesn't get a lot of hype, but I really, really like it. I'll become a villainess who goes down in history is a very interesting one. Main character's name is Alicia, and she is interesting. Why it's important to have villainesses. Um, it's it's cool. So as I was saying, I think you definitely should work on if you're gonna be a villainess, and why it's important to have villainesses is you got to be a competent one. And the first one I talked about, the one with Eileen, I am the villainess, so I'm taming the final boss. They do the typical scene where they're at the big banquet. She is engaged to a prince. The prince calls off the engagement and say, "I'm marrying this other girl instead, and I'm gonna like reveal your crimes before everyone here. We're gonna annul our engagement, blah blah blah," and which is like this big, always a big scene in apparently these types of games. And Eileen, at that moment where this big scene is happening, is when Eileen's isekai brain comes, where she's like, "Oh, this is a scene from a game. Okay, what happens to me after?" And she's like, "Oh, I die like this. I don't like that. So how can I figure out how not to die?" And so Eileen hatches this plan, and she's like, "You know what? Instead of dying like as a footnote in the rampage of the Demon Lord, I'm gonna go tame him myself. I'm gonna go see the Demon Lord and make him fall in love with me." Perfect plan. Which is cool when you see the Demon Lord because he's hot as all get out. But also the Demon Lord is the prince who just got rid of her half brother. Older, cuter, more powerful, more dangerous older brother. That's a flex. To get the brother of the guy who just dumped you on your side. Good job, Eileen. what I really like about Eileen as a character in this is that like she's not just someone who has a high status, and that's why she was engaged to the prince. But once she gets her engagement, she works really, really hard to be good at things. She works really, really hard at being smart about business, and like she works hard at being good at her magic. Like she is someone with this overwhelming potential, and even though it comes crashing down because the protagonist of the ultimate game, captures the prince's heart, and she's like told that she's been bullying this girl. And she's like, I don't even know this girl. Like, I just told her not to speak so casually to me. Like, she is below me. She's a commoner. Typical villainous dialogue. But like, Eileen has put in the work. And when she gets thrown away, as typical of the story is for villainess, she then uses it as a way to like find her route to survive. And finding her route to survive is going to the demon lord and then working to help him get his dreams. And again, he's not a bad demon lord. He is somebody who's just been kind of misunderstood in the demons in this world and all this kind of stuff. And she's able to like take those skills and use them to work towards somebody else, and I think actually experience love or experience someone loving her. So I hold Eileen up as this really great example of what it means to like be competent and then taking your skills when someone doesn't respect you and doesn't understand what you are and who you are, and the wealth and the knowledge and just the Beyonce version of upgrading that they can do, and then not being like, well, then what do I do with that? Moving it on and finding another worthy target, because she ends up really not just saving her own nation, but saving a couple of nations by how she like interacts and really works with the demon lord and kind of elevates him and does a lot to help with the humans and demons split, which I think is amazing. So again, when I'm talking about like, you can be a bad girl, you can be, someone intimidating like Agatha, or you can also be someone with these skills of Eileen. And that gets me into the next one I wanted to talk about. Villainous at level 99. I may be the final boss, but I am not the demon lord. I really like this one because the main character here, she knows she is in the game. She knows that she's this final boss. Her level has been maxed out, and she's trying to like not have any part of with the main character. She like trying to live her own little life. Um, but she also recognizes that like the main character is important because she does help save, and like she has to stop the demon lord with her capture targets and all this kind of stuff. And she's looking at the girl like, girl, you weak. You need to get your game up because like this is the work. This is the work you need to do. You are set here, or else the whole world can explode if you do not stop the demon lord. And like, I think sometimes we forget that villains are also there not to be an obstacle, but also to be a learning experience and a learning way to say, like, hey, get on my level. I love this particular villainess because, again, level 99, she is OP. And a lot of people seeing her as OP are like, okay, you need to help out this girl who's terrified of you because she's a saint, whatever, and she's going to have to defeat the demon lord, and you are the only one that can get her to this level. And her misadventures are really cool. I think as a villainess, she's like, I know people don't like me. I know I have this really bad reputation because of the type of magic she uses, and the type of things that she can do. But she doesn't let that get her down because she kind of knows the ending of the story. She just uses that as a way to like really build other people up. So you can be a villainess, you can be the bad guy, the big villain at the end, and still do the things that you do, and still know that the work that you do is going to help in the long run. And I really, really like that about this particular one. Because it's so much fun to see her just be like, I don't want to be around these people, but I just want a peaceful life. So on that idea of like being the foil to the protagonist and taking that role very seriously, I look at another really fun one. I'll become a villainess who goes down in history, where again you have this other girl isekai into this body of Alicia, who is this villainess. She learns very early on that she's in the series of Ultima again that she loved. But she also loved the thriller because she also loved the villainess. So she's happy to be Alicia. And so Alicia is like leaning into her villainousness. She's like, I want to be the villainess. She's cooler, she's more powerful, she's like all these other great things. So she is actively like improving herself to be more powerful, more educated, especially in the ways of the kingdom and the things that she's associated with. So when she meets the main protagonist, she realizes this girl is dumb. Like you are dumb. And there's nobody around her who will tell her and make her like get up to the level she needs to be in order to save the kingdom and the what's coming up. And so she knows that this is gonna hurt her reputation, but she actively takes on the role of villainess because she's like, someone needs to be your foil because like all the stuff you're trying to do, all the good works you want to do are unrealistic. It's just like you can't just make things happen with rainbows and unicorns. You got to put in the work and really they rethink these things. And I like really enjoy that as an idea of like what it means to be the bad guy in some conversations and the bad guy and willingly be the bad guy if it means that people, it helps the folk get better, or you can find the flaws in people's logic and thinking to be like, if you want to make this world better, there's some things you should be doing. And she does. She does it herself. Alicia goes through a lot of ways of trying to be villainous and trying to be this cold hearted, calculating person, but ends up helping a lot of people along the way. While also like making the main character, the person supposed to save everybody, get up to like she's dragging this poor girl along, and in very unexpected ways. So again, I think if you're gonna be the villain, and some of us don't really have the choice if we're gonna be the villain, I think if you're anyone who is from a minority group or press group, especially in America, so like this message ain't really for my white cis het men out there, but like women, especially with the theme of witches, already taken out to be, the villainesses in a lot of ways, especially when you're competent, especially when you know what you're doing and you're confident. Black people, especially Black women, the minute we start en masse doing something, then all of a sudden it becomes bad. And there's 100 articles written about how we're ruining these things. Um, Person of color in general, immigrants right now, people coming to the country. There's so many ways that you are seen as the villains in this story, especially when you're doing good for yourself, especially when you come in and you like made this country better, but we don't want to talk about that. And especially my queer folk, like I especially when you're a queer person who doesn't see your queerness as a shameful thing and you use it as like a cloak of badge and honor, like no one wants to liberate a queer person. Like, how dare you? You become the villains in all these people's other people's stories. And I think as long as you're competent, as long as you find your power, as long as you're able to like really, find the place where you can do the things and being, and like to me say like you got to do work twice as hard to get half as much, but it's a big piece of like how important it is that you do that, and how important it is that if you're going to be the villain in the story, do it well. Like be competent. Be that person who's not just bullying based on some laurels or some whatever, that you can have like the smarts, the power, the skills to be able to like manipulate things so that you survive and even can sometimes, especially in a lot of these animes, save the world. The one anime I said is gonna like kind of come back to was the seventh time loop for this villainess, which I really like this one because again she's painted as villainess. You don't really get to know who the main protagonist of the Ultima game is, but she keeps restarting her life at the same point at the big ball where she is denounced and her crimes are coming to light. And then she lives 7 different lives. And I think that is also really cool that when you get thrown away, to have the option again to take what you've learned, to take who you are, the person you built yourself up to be, and be like, that's not the end of my story. I think I really love some of these villainous animes because it always talks about like the game is written for somebody else to win. And I really vibe with this. Like the game is written for somebody else to win, that someone else is chosen and loved more than you, despite all the things you have going in your favor. And then in these animes, these villainesses, like I see that the game is set up for someone else to win, but that doesn't mean that I have to lose. And it's not like I'm going to take myself down. And where they, like, of course, in the games that they're known for bullying the main character, the protagonist, and doing all this like petty stuff, they don't worry about that. They don't do that. They're like, I'm not gonna sit here and worry about this half grown girl who don't have the powers that I have. I'm gonna do what's really great for me, and I'm gonna do what I think eventually ends up like saving the country, the kingdom, or whatever. Like they don't deserve you. Y'all out here being witches. They don't deserve you. Because, like, they're going to try to stop you at every front. Like, Jen from Agatha All Along, as a Black woman, root worker, midwife, being told by a white doctor that she is inconvenient and in the way, and that's how he gets somebody to, like, bind her and takes away her power. They're going to do it to you whether or not you're helping or whether or not you're being the good person. So if you got to be the villainess, if you got to be the bad person, the villain in the story, do it to the utmost. Do it to where people be like, that's a bad bee and we can't stop you. Do it to where, like, you end up saving the nation, but you did it your way. You did it on your terms. Because that is super important. I've talked a minute about this because there's so many good villainesses. I think there's like 2 really good villainess stories that's happening right now on this season. I'm currently watching May I Ask for One More Thing? I May Ask for One Thing. She's gonna get cosplayed. Like, oh man, me and Scarlett are gonna get cosplayed. And then there's also like The Secret Life or some villainess or whatever. But yeah, there's 2 really good ones. If you haven't jumped into the genre, I do think you should start with some of the animes I mentioned today. If you haven't seen Agatha All Along, watch WandaVision, then watch Agatha All Along. I think they're both really cool. And I think you get an appreciation of what it means to be a woman and oppressed, and like there's a lot they're doing with the title witch in the show that I think is great. Halloween's technically over, but it's over when you say it is. So if you want to watch a little bit more witchy stuff with comments of some scary demon lores or whatever, go have at it. Because I know that for me, I'm going to be still watching somewhere my scary stuff through the month of November. But on that case, I'm going to see you next week. Put in the comments other villainous stories that you really vibe with, or even some villain stories you vibe with as well. Because I'd love to hear more. And of course, if there's an anime that I am missing that's in the genre that I like, I'm going to watch it. I got all the things. So do that for me in the comments, and I will talk to you later. All right? Bye! The Blerd Church of Anime podcast is produced by Blackstar, aka Lauren Tillman, written by Lauren Tillman, and hosted by Lauren Tillman. Music created by EL47.